by 10, so getting started right on time. And we're doing two things today. First thing, we have Jim Boyte from Active Defender, who's going to be talking about issues involving school safety and how his company helps with those. And then after that, we're going to be doing something we call espresso shots. We give everybody in the room, if they choose to, an opportunity to address the group, talk about what you're doing with your business, give your best 60 seconds, or if you have something that's going on that you think that the group can help with, give you an opportunity to present some asks to the group in that time. I'd like to thank our organizers, Krista Johnson Sotomayor, for helping me out immensely this week, as well as David Bates, Tony and Trish Holden, who aren't here today, Nancy McCreary, Terry Conlon, Jim Roberts, who's out in Wilmington today with the launch of the 1 million cups in Wilmington. So we'll hear some stories from him when he comes back there. The return of William Boyte, Brina Mariah, Tracy Imes, who's, hey, Tracy, good to see you today, and George Stewart. Our sponsors are Muddy Dog Coffee, who make sure that we have this awesome coffee here, as well as NC Idea, who helps fund that. Imperative Product Operations, GTI, Broadreach Marketing, Samadhi Solutions, American Underground, Soto IP, Uplift Now, and New York Life. And since we're, like I said, pressed for time this week, we're going to go ahead and start with Jim Boyte and Active Defender. There you go.
All right, I think I've got that. Mike, thanks. My name is Jim. We live in a little town called Carthage down the road from you in Moore County. And I appreciate the opportunity today to speak to you. I want you to imagine for just a minute. I want you to imagine that you have a child or a grandchild, or you know some child today that's probably in a school. Because unfortunately, the world we live in today is not the world probably most of us grew up in. And the problems they face are different. And today, it could happen that somewhere in our world, some child, and it might be your child, is in a school where a teacher looks out and sees an active assailant. This presents a major problem. Obviously, having any active assailant presents a problem, but the big problem is the person that sees the danger needs to do two things at exactly the same time. They need to call 911, but they also need to let every other staff member know, including your child's teacher, know what the problem is and where the problem is. Because everybody, you, I, all of us, only make good decisions based upon what we know and where we know. So imagine that your child was in the lunchroom. Imagine this teacher that saw the problem. They're having to call 911. And even if they have a means or a way to set what most schools call a code red, the alarms go off. Well, we know there's a problem. But maybe I'm in an insecure area. How do I know if I'm moving towards the problem or away from the problem? How do I know if I should try to stay where I am? Or where should I go? It was because of this, and actually, my background is working for the DOD and helping schools. We go in from time to time, realized this was such a problem that we created about 19 months ago a situational awareness tool called Active Defender that's grown considerably, but it would allow a teacher, and they told me I couldn't switch, so I had to open up their phone, and it will log them in automatically, pull in their campus, and there's about 5 different alerts. Even though I'm talking to you about an active shooter, the way it really gets used almost every week in a big high school is to point out, I see 2 kids scuffling, and they're about to get in a fight, but if I could get an assistant principal or an SRO there just 30 seconds or a minute sooner, they won't get expelled. And that would be a major win for that school. But in this case, let's stick with active shooter, which is the lockdown. I see him coming across the campus. I press the button, and then I've got the option. Oh, I do have a couple people in the audience that are teachers that had their phone on silence. And it's propagated instantly with a map, with everything they need. Oh, Chris, can you turn that off for me? Thank you. That was my other Verizon phone. It's propagated to send them the map and show them. They touch it, they send it. The person sending the alert can call 911. Everybody else comes up and it shows them where the problem is, and based on where they are, they can decide what to do. It also creates what's basically a reflective server that we've got that scales and sits up so that they can report their location and whether they need emergency help or they don't. It's got a built-in automated chat dynamics that allows them to account for all their children and who may be missing. So in this essence, we are basically targeting school systems with a subscription model. We found selling to K through 12, and I'm not a salesman, so I can also use some help, is a different world to try to reach than most retail. But our goal is to hopefully reach into the districts who then look at each individual school. There's a $500 setup fee that we use, maybe some extra charge where we set up their floor plans depending on the complexity and what they have or don't have. And then we charge $3 per staff member per month. Right now, even though we're a Delaware C Corp, we are just really looking at the U.S. public schools, and I think there's about 3.2 million teachers within that from what I've been able to find. In the private sector, there's about 500,000, and then there's, of course, another non-home-based daycare that include about 120,000 just in the U.S. And then it was too hard to get statistics on churches. We have several mega churches that are now using the product there for their safety teams. We've been able to have about 62 schools that are using it currently right now. We're in multiple 911 centers. Oh, here's a beautiful thing. We can't force the 911 centers and the police stations to get it. I just put it in Bass PD yesterday, or day before yesterday, and did a training with them. And but once the school get it, we go to the police chief, and they are thrilled to get it because not only do they get the information not seconds, but minutes sooner, but also if the bank gets robbed, they have the ability to send the information back to every one of those teachers, including your child's teacher in the cafeteria or out of the coffee. We were approved by Apple for what's called critical entitlements, which means even if the phones are silenced, it's like the presidential alerts, Amber Alerts, it wakes up the teacher's phone and says, hey, somebody in your family, your staff, your community is telling you you need to know this information so you can keep your child safe. We go from a pot of money that include barricade doors, alert systems. There's chat apps out there, such as Rave, Cisco's Quick Alert. They don't do, I only say half, they don't do a tenth, but it's so hard for us to get district attorneys because they are superintendents to look at it because we're kind of way ahead of the curve to see the difference. But we have got an incredible team that includes people within the school systems and directors and pieces, retired military. I came out of working for a group of people that worked for our president over at Fort Bragg for the past several years, writing situational awareness tools for them. So they use, we can get into it, some of you have military background, I'll talk to you about the unclassed version of what I worked on. Probably the weakest link on the team, but just honored to serve with them. But today, to stay within my 6 minutes, these are the questions I started with where we think we could really use your help. And there's probably other things we haven't even considered because I don't know what I don't know. And I would welcome any help in areas of that you can share with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And you know, it's so super important, especially if you have children or grandchildren, to know that they're going to be safe within their schools. And you know, I personally had a kindergartner and a second grader at the time of the CZ Hook shootings, and I remember that day like it was yesterday. And I was at work in tears, knowing that that could have been my kids. And so I want to thank Jim and his team for putting this together and sharing it with us. Do we have any questions for Jim?
Yes.
I'll start over here and then we'll come back to you.
You've been in this a while, as you pointed out, you have 52 already installed. It'd be helpful to know how the heck are you reaching these decision makers in the school system today to get to the superintendent in the first place? What's worked for you?
What has worked has been to get some principal to let us try it in their school, and then from them work the way back to the superintendent. So obviously what has not worked is we've sent tons of letters and emails to superintendents and haven't got any responses directly. Have a hard time even getting an appointment. When we can get them to finally see it, test it, the price is so inexpensive versus what you get that it becomes a no-brainer. They find the money somewhere, but. Yes, sir.
Yeah. If you said you have to get 5 levels of alert.
Yes, sir.
Do any of those levels, will they incorporate, or are you thinking of incorporating the parents into those alerts? Or allowing the parents to buy into the alert system?
That is, I'm going to pull it up just so you can see the alerts. We have a new module that we will start in our first school testing. Do you remember what the date is in March, Chris? We're going to test it. So we have a parent module that is a value added. We actually looked at it to hopefully be something that would make money for the schools, because it doesn't cost us to run it. I'll actually run it off a Google Sheets platform so it doesn't take up our server space. So the answer is yes, and I don't want to go on and on. But we've also, the superintendent has said he's not sure that he wants to make it where they charge a parent $10, even though they think most of them would be able to pay for it. But if there were some that couldn't, because not only does it be able to say, hey, with the parent module, we can tell you we did a fire drill today. So little Johnny comes home, there's a fire at school, there's a fire at school. Well, it was a fire drill. But also, the system's designed so if on the worst day of that parent's life there was a reunification, they moved the child somewhere else, it would give that school's principal and leaders instant ability direct to that child's parents. This is where it is. So, yes, but it's not fully out there. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
I was like, wow.
I'm sorry. She had her hand up.
I wasn't identifying like that today. I am so sorry. What happened to the ball? Well, Carl's going to be upset. In any case, 2 thoughts, and they're both kind of channel sales aspects. One, parent-teacher associations are probably going to be easier for you to approach. And if you get enough parents clamoring for something like this, it's going to trickle down and folks will eventually listen to the school districts. And it's very possible politically that a lot of those same people who are on the PTA are also on school boards or running for school boards. So to me, that's probably a better way to infiltrate. Sorry to use that term because it's a bad thing in the old world here. But the second part is I would approach architects who do a lot of schoolwork. Because one, you'll be giving them something that they can use in their pitch to win the business. And architects are always looking for that because they compete on very, very tight fees, particularly in public education. And you're going to be coming at this from a point of design. So you'd be coming into them and saying, not only are you giving them a secret weapon to win a bid, but also you're going to consult on the design. So you might be able to get yourself additional fees up front and get your designs built into the infrastructure or the edifice that is the school. Because the school isn't going anywhere, right? And you're stuck with dealing with the building. It's all about the building. And then you'll have good floor plans that are accurate, right? So that, because as-built data is the worst, even for the people who claim they keep it organized. So I think from that aspect, you'll end up on top.
I like it. Absolutely like it.
We got any architects in here? Any people in the PTA? I see one. You want to talk to someone? Okay, Tracy next.
I'm going to ask, just along similar lines, have you talked to any organizations that have complementary solutions, so maybe in barricades or the actual EMS providers in terms of assessments and partnerships that might go hand in hand with this, right? I imagine there's a lot of kind of security groups in this space. It seems like your app is unique in terms of identification of like the location. It seems like there might be more of a broader solution through some partnerships, and I don't know what that landscape looks like, but have you guys investigated that?
We have not. Matter of fact, we didn't exist until 20 months ago. And then we built it from the ground up. So this wasn't something you could go out and buy an off-the-shelf product for. And so most of the focus has been upon building it, letting teachers tell us how to make it better, about SROs, how 911 centers tell us what they need. But no, that's the land, and that's really why Jim Roberts is the one that connected me with you all and said, listen, this is where you need to learn from them. And so that, I don't know what I don't know. That's fantastic.
Sorry.
recognition too? Do you have that implemented in the software?
I couldn't understand the last question. Please forgive me. My wife is telling me I need hearing aids.
The second part of the question is, do you have facial recognition built into the software as well?
We do not. Facial recognition is not a hard thing to do. We do have a new version coming out where first responders told us they need to be able to quickly find who the person in charge is, which one of these dots represents the principal or assistant principal, and how can I find them that way. I come from a world and a space where a lot of people just outside of Fort Bragg live a little north of there, and they're a customer I used to serve, and their spouses are in the school systems, and they're like, hey, no GPS, gotta make sure to track me, gotta make sure, they're real crazy about those things in general. So we've designed it around a lot of that. We've chosen not to add the facial recognition, but I think that probably would be a good thing if we could.
And the other markets like hospitals, things like that?
Yes, we do have, we're working with a couple doctors out of Butte, which is a not-profit right now, that come down and meet with us, and a couple folks in a 60 hospital unit out of Tennessee. They have like 11 alerts. So it grows a lot. They're looking at using some of this right now, but we're looking at, hey, what can we do when it's a code elopement or code atom, which means I'm missing a patient, right? And now I need to not only set an alert that I'm missing a patient, but how can I cover the stairwells? Where are the areas they could egress? How can I cover that? And then have a search and rescue team that says, we looked here, we looked here. So we're really trying to build that. We have a hotel model, but when I talk to school systems, I never talk about anything but schools. So, yes.
Good morning, my name is George Stewart. Back to your initial question, I don't know the education market very well, but you did say that you had some success with school principals. You had trouble getting to superintendents, but you had success with principals. Have you thought about figuring out what conferences school principals go to and trying to get some airtime at conferences where you can talk to multiple principals and perhaps get some excitement?
We did the yes part would be we did the superintendent's conference that was held in Asheville last year, and unfortunately I was so inexperienced in how to try to present this, I don't think I made that great of an impression in the 5 minutes they gave me. And since then, I think part of our team is looking to try to find the ideal trade shows and the places we go. We have money coming in, but it's not a huge amount. If you know startups that have figured out a formula to make a lot of money quick and do things better, but we're trying to find the ideal ones. And if you could think of other conferences outside of just principals, so I made a note of the PTA one. I'm wondering if there's PTA conferences. That came up from someone mentioned it earlier. Yes, sir.
Hey, morning, Jim. Thank you very much for presenting. I love what you have here. I think one of the worst times as a parent is getting a text that a kid is code red and you don't know exactly what's going on. So I think this is helping with events, getting that information out there. But the first one, I think it was Tracy's point about partnering with somebody. I've got a close friend that works for a company called Omnigar, and they offer something that would probably be complimentary for you. More than willing to share some of the information, but it might be a better route into a quicker route to market for you to give you, more sales and marketing presence, and maybe it's something that can hold down the systems that they already provide.
So if you could help me with that introduction, but also to be full disclosure, I met the president from the Raleigh office at a show in Las Vegas. He was a booth over for me, but I think we were so new. We had at that time used PVC pipe to build our little display in our background. We were in several schools and fully working. I came from a world where it doesn't have to be perfect, but it can never crash your device. You know what I mean? But maybe our first impressions were such that, we'll talk to you, but there was never a follow-up. And maybe we've improved enough they would be willing to meet again. I would love if you could help us to possibly.
Sure. Yeah, hi.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Jeff. John Solano, NutriCard. Have you considered home rule states like New Jersey that would have a board of education for almost each municipality, rather than your consolidated county boards of ed, or like the statewide Texas board of ed, which is like the whale. But the smaller school districts, are they more approachable? And New Jersey would tend to be more innovative in their suburban districts.
Could I connect with you on the sidebar in a little bit so we could understand a little bit better what it would take to connect with them and understand the dynamics? Right now, I've looked to find the largest school districts through the country. I've realized it's a small subset. We've been talking about how do we put together a package to send to them to maybe get them to look at it. But we don't by any means claim to understand the dynamics of how those things look. It will be in July, I'll have a good amount of income coming back in from our repeat schools and be able to do a lot more. Right now, we're still signing up, one, maybe, on average now it's down to about one school a week we're signing up. But it's slowed down a little bit.
Hello, I'm Mark. Thank you for the presentation. It's really good information to see. I'm a PTA leader and we started a new school this year. I had a question for the principal at the very beginning, and I asked her if she was going to impose a single application for communication to the parents from the teachers, be it Remind or Class Dojo. There's a whole host of them.
Right.
And so I understand from the teacher's perspective, they don't use their email anymore very much because when they see the Remind app flash, they know that's from a parent and that's important. So my question is, have you considered coupling with the existing communication tools that the schools already use and leveraging their outreach? And oh, by the way, the National PTA Convention is in Kentucky this year, in June. I'll get you the dates later, but there's an expo that goes along with it. I went to one a couple years ago, and it's probably a good place for you to visit.
That'd be awesome. Like I said, we have not really tried to target. We did make, when I was in Las Vegas, tried to make connections with Cisco, Quick Alert, with Lobby Guard, with folks like that. As we've begun to look at maybe getting some funding, which we'll probably start looking at trying to find folks that maybe are in this space or in the medical space, then I've looked at the alternative, what would it look like just to get everything ready and try to merge with somebody else there as an alternative. But all that's sort of up in the air, and I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to read a book a week right now in regard to all of that, and I'm almost drowning in the current, and I'm still spending 10 hours a week writing code and trying to grow in terms of how our team works.
All right, so the longer this mic took to get me more questions and comments.
Okay.
I'll be quick. First of all, please stop apologizing for the fact that you're a startup and that you're doing guerrilla things, because that's what startups do, and that's actually a benefit. So don't undercut yourself by doing that. It's okay, we're family here, but just it's a mindset thing. Second of all, you get a lot of feedback. You could go to this, you could go to that, you could go to this. What about, right? So if you guys don't have a plan right now for how you roadmap what's most important, your biggest single asset is your focus, and the second after that is your responsiveness. So being able to catch everything and cue it all so that it doesn't throw you off of successful market penetration is really important. The last thing is, do you know anybody at Food Solutions? It's a little tiny company over here worth about $100 million a year. They are in the facilities management space for schools. That is sort of their bread and butter, their heritage. So if anybody knows how to get into schools, it's the Food Solutions folks. So I have a few contacts over there. They might not necessarily be the most appropriate, but I'd be willing to dig around and see if Ed can help me find the right people to get you in touch with. So
I have all your contact information because you vetted me to hand start with. So I'll be in touch with you on that day as I can. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Yes.
Well, have you had any contact with ShotSpot?
Can you rephrase the question so I
Have
understand?
you had any contact with ShotSpotter that might be, sort of relevant to this kind of active shooter situation?
So our app has never been used in a real life shooting, if that's what you're asking. I'm not sure. I just want to
I'm
make sure.
asking about the ShotSpotter company.
Oh, the company, I'm sorry. See, this is where I'm hard of hearing, sir. I thought you said shots, as in guns, shots fired. No, sir, I have no contact with them.
Okay, it would seem like it might be, might be relevant to.
Sure.
Not as good a contact as Dude Solutions, but, it's a synergistic kind of relationship you might have with.
Look, could you help us later find a contact or somebody that?
I could, I only know one person who works there, and
Okay.
I'd have to be willing to find someone.
I'll do that, sir. Thank you.
Jim, do you
Yes,
think you could kind of go over the difference between what it is that your solution does and your competition? You briefly named the competitors in the space,
Sure.
not necessarily, I know they exist, but I don't know what they do versus we.
Right. We set up a few things. See if I pull this up, you can kind of see the alerts. This is like what would be on the front desk of each school. And then inside of it, they have the ability and first responders to be able to set soft lockdowns. So you not only have the ability to notify all your folks, we have a reverse situation I don't think anybody else has, to where a 911 center or a police station can actually notify every teacher that, hey, we've got an escaped convict, or there's a high-speed chase going down Union Church Road. Get all your kids and get inside. We give also the ability, you don't have to type in the password. Since it sits on the front desk, there's kind of an extra layer right here. On this one, it's case sensitive, so I messed all that up.
We're going to cover this video here. we don't want this out on the net.
So here, we set up a system that allows normally it's done by an assistant principal in a small school, or maybe their IT person. They can instantly change out and say, hey, I had a teacher go on medical leave, let me put another one in. They can decide if they're an internal responder, because we are really designed for a command and control situation. So that in the midst of a real fire, not just a practice, in the midst of a real lockdown, in the midst of a real natural disaster where people may be outside when a tornado springs up just like that, they've got a means of communication. So internal responders are going to be probably 7 or 8 to 10% of their school staff, maybe assistant principals, SROs, principals, that can actually send messages direct to some subset or group. They can also choose internally on medical alerts. I don't need my 5th grade teacher getting an alert when my geometry teacher said, this happened. Am I going into too much detail?
Yeah, a little bit of the weeds there. I was more looking at, the idea of, how is this not just a better mousetrap versus, what is it that the other competitors accomplish versus what you accomplish?
I don't think anything else is set up where you can get subsets of it. Let me go back to the very beginning. This also has the ability to allow temp teachers to come in 24 hours. But to be able to set an alert not where you are. One of the worst things going on is there's a lot of talk in North Carolina and Florida. I want to put a button in. I want to put a button in. I want to put a button in the classroom so I can say there's an alert. That sounds good. But I don't think people are thinking through it. You put a button in, it sets an alert. What if that's on the 2nd floor? Now, 2 things happen. Either they set the alert and it just tells somebody there's a problem, it doesn't tell them where the problem is. Or it could be worse. It says the problem is coming from the 2nd floor classroom, blah, blah, 2706. And everybody on the 1st floor starts running out, but they've looked outside and identified an active shooter coming across the campus, and you just put in a system that sent people towards the problem. So we have an ability to identify a problem not where you are, but anywhere where it is. Matter of fact, you can actually even take a picture.
So your competitors then, let me try and distill this down. Your competitors in the market just alert people of a problem. They don't tell you where the problem is or what the problem is. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying?
I think that's correct, and they more of a text message set up instead of what we would call a reflective type server that creates a continuous setup for a command and control. Yes.
So it's basic sending a bunch of text messages versus having a control center, which is what you do. That's your big differentiation, is that you're not like any of these other programs.
That's correct. You can also send a picture and not only say this is where I took it, but here's the focal point of the picture.
We have a question here.
Yeah, I have a question. So you were talking about before using chat in order to measure students. Do you have an inventory of students, and can you actually, can you, because that's one of the big problems is, emergency, you have police come on site, right? Part of the task is how do you clear everybody? And how do you, these kids are, at home, you don't have to worry about them anymore, so they're off the list, These students have been, they're out in this parking lot, so they're safe. You're still kind of going down the list to make sure everyone's safe, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, so do you have kind of an inventory of students where you can?
Well, the teachers have their class roll, then we have it built in that you have students to move depending on the complexity or the dynamics of each school. So we've got a couple things that work for some and not ideal for others. There's an incredible 4-minute training video we use that you can go to our website and see on doing fire drills, where in the meantime, while we're trying to perfect what you're talking about, we ask the teacher, how's the fastest way to know who you're missing? Ask your kids. Much faster than just taking the roll. They know. And then we created a dynamic chat system where they can say, I've got 17 of my 18, but I'm missing Johnny Smith. And then hopefully somebody says, I got 21 of the 20 I'm supposed to have, but I have plus Johnny Smith. And the system allows those internal responders to be able to cue any of the folks that may be locked down or disparate in terms of a fire drill so that they can instantly know in the midst of the smoke or the bullets, I got to go back in, and where's it most likely I got to go back into to find Johnny?
Two more questions.
Yes, sir.
Hi, thank you, Jim, for presenting. My name's Dan Hepworth. I'm a first timer here. I actually got a bit late since I was at the Royal American Underground building, so excuse me if you already covered this, but I was sort of curious what your metrics are for success. What data points do you use to sort of quantify the efficacy of your software? Is it increased response rate, or is it more localized response rate? Sort of, what are the numbers that you sort of brag to people? Since I think a lot of decision makers want to see hard numbers of like the quantifiable value.
That's an absolute great question. We've built in a piece I alluded to Google Sheets before. We don't try at the price we're selling it for to try to maintain any of the data. We don't want that liability. But so we have systems where every time they do a fire drill, it will write to their Google Sheets. Okay, so then they can look at the metrics, and you may remember this also reports to the district level, but let's just start at the school level. At the school level, they can know, we just talked to a principal, I wasn't there, but you were there, Chris is my COO right here, and last night at one of our team meetings, and she's like, hey, we got our response time down to, so this is one of the metrics, down to 1 minute. For us, we want to look at how comfortable it is for a teacher to use it. How do they do? There's kind of some follow-up pieces. I'm not sure I'm in the right way. But at the district level, we want them to be able to compare what's the north side of the county to compared to the south side. And we can provide them those logistics, but we haven't built the real back end that allows them to go through it quickly. Right now, I'm just writing it to a Google Sheets for them that way.
All right, last question.
Good morning, I'm Mark Esposito. I have a question, I don't know if you covered it. In your, after everything's gone through in the event, do you have a replay feature to give to the law enforcement person or folks to figure out how they can, better, improve things, and they might be saying, okay, this is how the person attacked, and you can see it through all your data. I mean, your data is unbelievable. If you could give that to them so they can replay and figure out if there's some things they can do better, and then also for you. I see that right off because you look at people analyzing, and also it could be used, like say that if policemen did not engage, you could see this whole thing. They're all using this. There's a lot of things.
We capture all the data, but I've never written a replay to take it and run it back through. There's absolutely no reason it couldn't be done. But no, that is a fantastic idea. All of the data is captured in that Google Sheets piece like that when everyone logs in. The first responders version, The teachers can never see the first responders. And right now, we leave it up to each group of first responders to decide whether they want to show where they are to the other first responders. We do also have a universal first responder login, so if it's a really bad day and they don't have time to create a login, but you've got the FBI, SBI, the state troopers, and them there, that the school can give them just, here's a universal login so that you can have access to all the data. So, look, can I show this one thing? It'll take 30 seconds. We started a little bit on that, so if I set an alert right here, it's going to show up on the map, I think. All right, and then another teacher sets an alert and says, no, I see them right here. And I haven't hit that button. The trail, they show up in order. Sorry, let me turn off the sound. And they show up in the right order, but right now you can click on them to see what the teacher was and follow the trail. In our new version that's coming out, will be released next month. The color, I don't know that it shows, begins to fade. It begins a darker color where starts more of an orange so that it's easy for them to follow in real life. That's not the playback, but in real life being able to follow the dots.
The reason why I say that is you get buy-in by all the law enforcement. It's huge. Say, I can give you that information, and to me, that's an advantage overall for folks that you can give that data.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your presentation. This is really amusing because he doesn't know he's about to be mugged. If only he had an alert. This is tough work, and we appreciate the effort that you put in. We want to mug you and your team.
Thank you. Thank you all so very much.